Here's precisely where I direct my funds every time I receive my paycheck, and why the sequence is more critical now than ever, given that costs have risen roughly 30% compared to 3 years back. I've refreshed this video to address the realities of 2026 and moving forward, factoring in current inflation figures, reduced high-yield savings rates, plus higher limits for retirement plan contributions. The diagram shown here should act as a useful framework for considering how your cash flows once the paycheck arrives. Feel free to revisit this clip whenever needed down the road. So, let's jump right in without delay. Right after getting paid, the initial spot your funds should head is covering all minimum required payments on debts, like credit card bills, student loans, car loans, or even BNPL, buy now, pay later, obligations. View this as your stay afloat phase. You truly must handle these because missing or delaying even one can damage your credit score badly. Poor credit makes it tough to qualify for basics such as leasing an apartment or securing favorable mortgage rates later. Credit scores rely on 5 key elements, with the biggest 2 visible here. The primary one is payment history. As long as you consistently pay on time, your score ought to remain solid. Keeping borrowed amounts sensible also helps your score stay healthy naturally. These 2 elements together account for 65% of your total score. At this stage, you don't require a full debt payoff strategy yet. Just ensure automatic payments are arranged so nothing gets overlooked. We'll dive deeper into debt repayment approaches in Step 5, but for now, let's shift to the following part, which is a bonus addition in this version. So, Step 1.5, and I'm placing it here early since it simplifies everything else ahead. Step 1.5 focuses on automation, because setting up automatic shifts for all the items we'll discuss makes it possibly the smartest money move you can do. You're completely taking yourself out of the decision loop, and that's positive. It's pure psychology at play. The concept is straightforward. You can't spend cash you never see. When funds transfer automatically before reaching your checking account, you aren't depending on willpower or monthly reminders. It simply occurs and flows smoothly into later steps. Nearly all banks and investment platforms allow scheduled recurring moves. Spend about 15 minutes post-video reviewing today's steps. Then set up automation to send money to each designated bucket. Okay, step number 2 now involves setting aside cash for essentials, meaning your monthly living budget. I prefer holding this in my primary checking or a dedicated account marked just for essentials. Ensure you're covering what you require for everyday survival: rent or mortgage, groceries, medical costs, utilities, commuting, and so on. Looking at this example budgeting sheet, you'll notice this individual lists rent at $1,750, utilities around $300, plus car payment, insurance, food, phone, and internet adding up to roughly $2,110 monthly. So if assigning my pay for step 2, I'd aim to keep at least $2,110 available always, ideally closer to $3,300 for a small cushion. Having that extra feels reassuring. Keep in mind this monthly living budget differs from an emergency fund, which handles surprises or crises. We'll cover that in step 3. For now, recognize their separate categories. Notice this worksheet sorts expenses into needs, wants, and savings (debt to). It's valuable to classify spending and separate true necessities from desires. The ideal breakdown is often 50-30-20. 50% toward needs, 30% toward wants, and 20% toward savings or investing. In expensive cities, needs might hit 60%. In cheaper areas, maybe 40%. Regardless, calculate your own figures. Know your take-home pay, tally your must-haves, and define what that monthly picture looks like per paycheck. All right, with that sorted, we proceed to step 3, building your emergency fund for 2026. If you've seen my earlier content, you're likely familiar, but it bears repeating. It's money you leave untouched except for genuine emergencies. In recent years, advisors often suggested 3 months of expenses, but amid greater economic swings today, targeting 4 to 6 months feels like a smarter aim. If monthly essentials run about $12,500, aim for $10,000 to $15,000 total. That might seem daunting. If so, start with an interim target like $5,000 first, then build gradually. This remains my top priority before shifting funds to investments or elsewhere. Honestly, it's arguably even more vital now than a few years ago. For storage, place emergency cash in a high-yield savings account, earning some interest yet fully accessible, liquid. Lately, it's tougher. Back in 2023-2024, top accounts offered 4 to 5% APY, but now rates hover around 3 or 3.5% depending on the provider. That's far superior to standard savings at about 0.11% though. As rates continue easing, we may seek alternative yield options eventually. For 2026, high-yield savings should still work well, and I'll share favorite options with links in the description below. Once steps 1 through 3, or 3.5, are handled, the ideal moment arrives to invest for tomorrow. That's step 4, starting with your workplace retirement plan or pension. Roughly 2/3 of my viewers are in the US with 401ks, but the UK has workplace pensions, Australia uses superannuation, Canada offers RRSPs. The core ideas hold anywhere. Aim to direct 10-15% of pay toward retirement. In 2026, the FlowUSA cap stands at $24,500 annually if under 50, or $30 to only $500 if 50 plus. Always grab the full employer match if available. It's essentially free extra cash. After securing the match, adding more to the 401k is optional, though other moves might come first in my view. Remember, 401k funds generally stay locked until retirement age, typically 59 Part 2, which can limit flexibility earlier in life. Still, I consider it highly worthwhile. For instance, contributing 10% of a $75,000 salary equals $7,500 yearly. Invested steadily over 40 years at an 8% average return in the S&P 500, that grows to roughly $2.1 million by retirement, showing why beginning young, maybe in your 20s, and staying consistent pays off hugely. This also highlights why automation, step 1.5, is so effective. It keeps everything running effortlessly, making it one of the strongest destinations for your money. Now, step 5 tackles clearing any leftover high-interest debt. I classify high interest as anything above 15%. Two popular strategies exist: the avalanche and snowball methods. Each has strengths and drawbacks. Avalanche targets the highest rate debt first, mathematically optimal, but sometimes tough mentally. Snowball clears smallest balances first for quick wins and motivation to keep going. Imagine 3 debts: $3,000 each on a car, 7%, credit card, 25%, and student loans, 4%. Which gets priority? The credit card, since its high APR racks up the most cost monthly, then car, then student loans. This example equalizes balances for simplicity, but real life often varies, e.g., larger student debt. Avalanche ignores balance size, focusing solely on rates. Snowball flips it. Smallest balance first for psychological momentum, paying them off sequentially to build confidence. Experiment with both and pick what suits your personality best. A quick note on low-rate debt versus investing. Yes, you can invest alongside debt if rates stay below 4 to 6%. With 4% student loans, for instance, stock market returns of 8 to 10% might outpace it financially. Yet, paying off even low-rate debt delivers a guaranteed 4 to 5% return and peace of mind. I dislike carrying debt personally, though some prefer it and invest anyway. My preference isn't always the mathematically ideal one, but it suits me psychologically. Ultimately, decide what fits you best. Ignore online opinions. It's your call. Step 6 involves investing outside the 401k. After completing 1 through 5, my preferred order is secure 401k, match first, then max Roth IRA, then boost 401k further, or fund a taxable brokerage with stocks or ETFs. Roth IRA's key perk, growth and withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. For 2026, under 50 limit is $7,500 yearly, $8,600 if 50 plus for catch-up. Contributions use after-tax money, but gains escape taxation later. Once Roth is maxed and you want more, consider a standard taxable brokerage. No limits, full liquidity, no penalties. Gains face, capital gains tax. Short-term, same-year sales, taxed as ordinary income, up to 37%. Long-term, held over a year, at 0 to 20%. My strategy, place high-growth stocks, ETFs in Roth to maximize tax-free upside. In taxable accounts, favor tax-efficient options like broad index funds, S&P 500, QQQ, etc. Low costs, reliable, minimal tax drag. The biggest factor remains consistency. Regular investing, even if not perfectly optimized, puts you miles ahead of non-investors. Finally, Step 7 directs funds toward building multiple income streams. Reaching this point in the flowchart is impressive. You're already outperforming most. With basics secured and investing on autopilot, focus shifts to diversifying earnings sources. Per Inc.com, 65% of self-made millionaires had 3 or more income streams. In 2026, depending solely on one paycheck feels increasingly risky amid tech layoffs, AI disruption, and ongoing uncertainty. Diversification protects not only portfolios, but income and skill sets too. You don't need extreme hours. Just 1-5 weekly on a side project can add $100,000 per monthly and transform finances. Ideas include freelancing / consulting in your skill, e.g., copywriting on the side, dividend stocks for passive income, creating content, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Substack, launching an online shop or Etsy store like handmade jewelry, teaching / coaching your expertise, running, climbing, tutoring, or real estate / IREites. The great part? Extra earnings feed straight back into steps 1 through 6, boosting emergency savings, Roth contributions, taxable investments, and compounding everything faster. That's my 2026 priority order for handling a paycheck. If this brought value, subscribe to the channel. For more on investing this year, check my beginner's guide linked here. I think you'll find it helpful. See you there or in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.